Rod Meldrum, tell us, what is the American Covenant? Sounds like a movie like that.
Should be.
You know, Michael Bay would make, where a Humvee just drives through some kind of Taliban nest somewhere with a screaming bald eagle with a mullet just going, you know?
We know that the heartland of America is the promised land of Adam and Eve and their posterity.
What about in the Bible where it says these things happened in between the Tigris and the Euphrates?
The question is do we know where the New Jerusalem is going to be by revelation or speculation?
And so then here we have the New Jerusalem, which is the promised land that's given unto the high seed, right? Those are the two promised lands.
You will notice that as we have secularized, we have truly declined in all the measurable quantifiers that are fulfilled in the scripture.
It was just the founders that put that together, or were they inspired?
You're not just a missionary for the church, you're a missionary for America.
It's all the Abrahamic covenant right there in the Constitution. If we go evil, evil will prevail in the world, the bottom line.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I'm joined in the studio by none other than Brill Hernandez, as well as Rod Meldrum, Heartlander of Heartlanders, hashtag America. And he wanted to talk to us today about the American Covenant. He is back by popular demand, having spoken with us last time about the Heartlander Book of Mormon geography model. And now he says we skipped one of the most important things about the Book of Mormon, which is the American Covenant. And I was like, you know what? You're speaking my language, my man. So just to make you feel a little bit more comfortable, okay, Rod, I'll tell you right now, I don't have a MAGA hat, okay? But I have a red Los Angeles hat.
There we go.
I've got a red Los Angeles hat, okay, just to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. I put an American flag behind Brill here, your media guy, so he's got a flag. And wait for it, Ed, could you move the material behind Rod Meldrum out, because we got a good reveal here for Rod. So
what's going on?
just I want Rod to feel comfortable here. Here we go, Rod.
Oh my goodness, we got what do we got here?
Okay, all right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I want to make you feel comfortable, bro.
Hey, this is my backdrop here, baby.
You know, so now,
Hey,
please.
it fits with the red shirt.
Yeah,
I disappear into. I've got my camo on today,
and it's gonna get even better. See, I'm gonna make it red over here. So we got the red, the white, and the blue. You know what I'm saying?
Look at that. And I brought blue today.
Hey, now you're blue today. Okay,
blue. There we go.
So, dude, this sounds like the most. I'm literally gonna put hashtag America. I'm literally gonna put hashtag America on the description of this podcast / radio program.
How did you do that? That is pretty.
Well, I mean, it's an important topic, right?
Yeah.
So it happened here.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
America.
Yeah.
Rock on. So anyway,
why?
Rod Meldrum, tell us, what is the American Covenant? Sounds like a movie like that, like.
Should be.
You know, Michael Bay would make, where a Humvee just like drives through some kind of like Taliban nest somewhere with like a screaming bald eagle with a mullet just going, you know? So, yeah. So tell us, bro, the American Covenant, hit us up. What's going on, man?
Well, in order to understand the American Covenant, you really have to kind of go all the way back to Adam and Eve. And so Adam and Eve, we mentioned about the mention of the first ever mention of a promised land in the scriptures is actually not in the Old Testament. It's actually in the book of Moses, right?
Okay, interesting.
And in the book of Moses, it basically says that Adam, the first promised land was named after his great grandson by the name of Canaan. And it says, and that was part of the promised land, that this is the first time it's mentioned as a promised land. Well, where was this promised land? Is a big question that people should be asking. If this is a promised land, number one, what's the promise? And number two, where's the land? Okay,
rock on.
And the promise is basically, as long as you're righteous, you get to stay here. It's real simple. Okay, So
yeah, isn't that repeated like
That's a couple
17 times in the Book of Mormon or something like that?
over and over again, yes, because this is a covenant land, right? So there's covenants that we make as people, as individuals, and members of the church. But
You mean
also,
Mesoamerica is a covenant land, right?
Well, let's take a look at that.
Oh, you said it's the Americas.
Okay, keep going.
And so the this promised land, how do we know that it's here in America? And that actually comes from Section 101, verse 53, which we read in a previous podcast actually together, that basically says that that Adam granted all of his righteous posterity together at this place called Adam-on-Diamond, right? And we talked about the two Adam-on-Diamond theory and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sold, bro.
Which happily does not exist. But anyway,
Yeah, I'm sold.
But if that's the case, then Adam literally called his righteous posterity together to this place called Adam-on-Diamond, and we know where that is by Revelation in section 116 and 84 of the Doctrine and Covenants. So this is not revelation. This is not speculation. This is revelation.
P.S. We're actually going to go out there and do a documentary because like Jonah Barnes is friends with somebody that like retired early and just said, screw it. I just want the peaceful life. And what better ranch to buy than one at Adam-on-Diamond just waiting for Jesus to show up. All right. So apparently like there's like a local ward there that has like more than one or two of these like families are like, we're banking on like 2035 or something, man. So it's like, I would literally buy 1,000 acres near Adam-on-Diamond just for like kicks and giggles to say I did as well. So I have zero shade to throw on these people, you know.
and that's such a beautiful place. I went on a trek while I was living in Kansas City at the time, and we stayed on Adam.
Like one of those cringy youth treks,
yeah,
or like an actual trek?
It was one of those, the youth treks.
Oh, okay, cool.
And we stayed on a farm on Adam-on-Diamond area, and it was amazing. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, rock on. You look like you're a state senator for the state of California with that little flag behind you. We just need to get the Bear Republic.
Well, that would be
too,
great because, I'm from LA.
Yeah.
And we need to take back the state.
Yeah. Malaga, make all of Los Angeles great again. I tried to make that work. All right. So anyway, Rod, the American Covenant. Keep going, bro.
Yeah. So what was this covenant then? Basically, so we have we get down to this point where the people of Adam and his posterity began to fall into apostasy, right? And so God basically says, we're going to have this big flood. And so Noah, you need to build an ark. So there's this Noah the prophet. And then so he builds this ark. The ark is built where? Where's the ark been built?
In Kentucky.
Well, somewhere in America.
That's where the Ark Encounter is.
Because that's where they were that's where Adam-on-Diamond is. That's where Adam gathered his family together. And this is just 3 years before his death. So like Adam is like 927 years old because he lived to be 930.
Okay, so here's the question.
So for 920 something years, he was still here in the heartland of America. He never really went away from that area. So we know that the heartland of America is the promised land of Adam and Eve and their posterity.
Okay, so if we're saying
off.
we know through Revelation that Adam-on-Diamond is this here on the North American continent, like
Right.
I can't remember if that's the Articles of Faith.
Section 116.
Section 116.
Yeah, pull
that's
it up,
what it is.
actually. That's really, you can
Okay,
read it right
I
there.
will pull
It's
up Section
awesome.
116.
Yeah, if you want.
Well, the logical conclusion of all of this is that the Ark would have to be in North America, which would mean some other things would have to be as well. And here's my question.
Yeah.
What about in the Bible where it says these things happen in between the Tigris and the Euphrates? And there's also that missing river, the Pishon River,
yes,
that
right.
doesn't show up anywhere in the Arabian Peninsula. And oftentimes anti-biblical scholars will say like, oh, that's proof that the Bible is wrong. There's no archaeological evidence. Meanwhile, they've actually found a dry riverbed of a massive river that could have easily qualified as the Pishon because it also has its confluence where all four rivers meet before they head out into the Indian Ocean. And so what would the archaeological, we argue about the river Sidon. Well, how do you place Noah's Ark and the Garden of Eden in an area between the Tigris and the Euphrates? Is the Pishon the Mississippi, or like what's the reasoning there?
Well, at what point was the Tigris and the Euphrates named? Where did their name stem from? Was it before the flood or after the flood when those were named?
Oh, good question.
Well,
and when was the Pentateuch and
right.
the Hebrew Bible actually written, and what Masoretic text was edited or whatever? Okay,
seems
interesting.
to me that they may have taken scriptural names from pre-flood flood time frames and then apply them to rivers that they had in the area that they lived in.
So you think all 4 rivers? Well, not think. I mean, your model.
Well,
actually,
put it this way: that look at the tributaries of the Mississippi River. Now, I'm not saying the Mississippi was the same as before the flood either, but the Mississippi has.
So it's like the
major
Ohio
tributaries.
River, is that one
Could
of
be.
them? And then
Ohio, the Illinois, the Des Moines, the
These are
there's
major
half a dozen
rivers.
Major rivers. They're mile wide.
Wow. So you actually think that this is really interesting. At first, I'll admit, I kind of scoffed at the Heartland model because I'm like, how do you explain the Tigris and the Euphrates and all those other rivers and so on and so forth? But there's actually more evidence of ancient wide river systems in North America. There are those 4 major rivers.
And there's thousands. There's thousands more that are all over the place.
No, but these rivers are big, man.
We're
But
talking about
like
the four rivers mentioned.
Right.
In the,
yeah,
I guess my comment really states back to those are the 4 main rivers, but there's also many other waterways in the continent of North America that also validates several other things that's mentioned in the Book of Mormon.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We need to get into whole rivers and river
All right,
systems
well, keep
and
going.
lakes and oceans and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know what? I went down a rabbit hole. Let's get back in the mood.
Welcome to the place where we ride.
Okay, anyway, so keep going, my man.
Oh man, you need to play the Star Spangled Banner though if you're going to really get into the mood. Okay, so all right, so basically, as I was doing this research, I was going, okay, so if there's a promised land, what significance is that? And then what is the promise, and what are the blessings of this covenant? It comes down to, if you take the Abrahamic covenant, that's really what we're going to kind of jump into, because there's the Abrahamic covenant that involved 4 specific things. There's a land itself, the land of Canaan. By the way, that land of Canaan was spelled differently than the land of Canaan of the New World, basically here in America. That was C-A-N-A-I-N. And the one in the Old World is spelled C-A-N-A-A-N.
Double A-N,
Phonetically,
yeah.
it's the same word, but they're spelled differently to differentiate between the two promised lands. And there's 2 promised lands mentioned by Christ. So I defer to the ultimate expert on promised lands, is Jesus Christ himself. When he's with the Nephites, he says there's 2 promised lands. One's Jerusalem, the other one's the New Jerusalem. And that's right there in 3rd Nephi when he's talking to them. He didn't talk about any other promised lands. Are there other promised lands? Well, maybe, but these are the 2 that Christ himself talked about, and he didn't talk about any others.
Wow. By the way, did anybody notice that when he's leaning back like that your boy Brill looks kind of like King Noah when he's leaning back, deciding the fate of Abinadi? You know what I'm saying? Just deciding the fate of Abinadi.
More wine.
Like, do we burn him?
Well, you know, I did.
No, you got to lean back when you do it, bro. You got to lean back and bring your microphone with you and just like be like that.
I did play one of Amulon's priests in the Book of Mormon in the
that's
season
true, you
5.
Oh, that is too funny, man.
You know, you see the resemblance, I guess.
Yeah, show him your hair, though. Come on.
Oh, yeah, you
Hair,
got
you
a
you
sweet.
got the nicest.
Dude, that is.
As a guy who has no hair,
I am jelly,
I'm serious
bro.
jealous about
I am
that.
jelly. I've tried to grow my hair out multiple times in my life, and I got that Polish Dr. Seuss tuft, like Don Bradley's bro hair before like Gen Z invented Don Bradley bro hair, but just like on steroids and coming down on my face. I was like the chick from the Ring.
This is because of my wife. I met my wife in high school, and I had my hair really long at the
Oh,
time.
I thought you said it was because of your Wi-Fi, and I was like, oh, wow, dude,
Wow.
Wi-Fi be
want
giving you
that.
some vitamin E,
It's
dude.
that EMF.
Sign me up.
But yeah, my hair's long because of that.
Okay, so Professor #America, you bring up a really good point here. Like in all seriousness, there's the statement multitudinous times of this land is a choice land, and if you are righteous in this choice land, you will reap the blessings of this choice land. Hence the term the promised land, that the Nephites were given, and consistent with Don Bradley's research in the Lost 116 Pages, Christ reasserted that promise when he came to the Americas in the book of 3rd Nephi by saying, this is the land of your inheritance. Mm-hmm. And he like specifically says your, referencing, you know, their the Nephi origins from the Josephite tribe, the northern kingdom, and so on and so forth, instead of the tribe of Judah, which is the southern kingdom, whose promised land would be the land Israel, the city of David, Bethlehem, and Jerusalem, so on and so forth. Right. So keep expounding like this #America covenant, you know?
Well, one of the other things that I think is real important, and Brill can jump in here as well on this, but in the Book of Mormon, you have a prophet, the prophet Moroni, when he is abridging the plates of the Jaredites, and you have a previous prophet, Ether, who he's abridging, and Ether basically says, and this is something that's also fascinating because I don't know how you get around this if you're a Mesoamerica proponent, because Ether says that he saw the days of the last days, and he saw a new Jerusalem upon the land that they are on. Upon this land, he says.
Yeah.
That there will be a new Jerusalem upon this land, right? Well, this is what Ether said. And then here we have Moroni, hundreds of years after that, and he's abridging this record, and he seconds Ether. So you have a double prophetic witness. You have two prophets here. They're both witnessing that the new Jerusalem is going to be built in the latter days on the land that they are occupying.
Right.
And then we know where the New Jerusalem is, and that's not by speculation either. That's revelation.
Well, that's something that you made a great point about.
You looking like King Noah?
You made a great point about the promised land of Lehi. What family lineage is he from?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then look at all the people in the Middle East. What are they fighting for?
The promised land of the two that split, not Cain and Abel. Come on, the two brothers that split.
You have all of these. So you have the Muslims.
Yeah.
You have Christians and you have the Jews.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're all the Dome of the Rock.
They're all part of the Abrahamic faiths, but Isaac and Isaac and who's his brother? Geez, this is painful. Yeah. Keep going.
But anywho,
Manasseh. No, that's Ephraim and Manasseh. And then it's Isaac. This
Abraham
is
and Isaac.
I lost it for a sec there. But anyway, the point is that the promised land, they're fighting for the promised land because they want those blessings. Right? And so then here we have the New Jerusalem, which is the promised land that's given unto Lehi's seed. Right? Those are the two promised lands.
Yeah.
Okay. Rock on.
But the question is do we know where the New Jerusalem is going to be by revelation or speculation?
No, it's by revelation.
That's
and
right.
So you guys are
So these are foundations that we consider to be firm. That's why we call ourselves the firm foundation. See?
All right.
We're not starting off with, speculations about narrow necks of land, the narrow passages, and, is there snow or not in the Book of Mormon? Let's start with something that we know to be true and then build upon that basis, line upon line and precept upon precept. That's what we've been told.
So let's steel man the opposition then.
Yeah.
Okay. Is what do the Mesoamerican guys say about all those early prophecies in scripture from the founding fathers of our faith, as well as from Joseph Smith and so on and so forth, that talk about, the glory that will be upon the American continent and, the people of these lands and so on and so forth. When this is all happening up, ostensibly in the tri-state area. I mean, we're talking like Vermont and New York and out into Ohio, Kirtland, Nauvoo, so on and so forth, around the Great Lakes area. How do the Mesoamerican people justify this? You joked about, the two Comoras model that came out of RLDS thought that was mirrored by some of the Mesoamerican people, according to Jonathan Neville. Is there, like, without joking about it, is there a two Adam on diamonds theory, or what's the Steelman, your Mesoamerican counterparts?
Well, basically, so Kirk Magleby, who is one of the heads of Scripture Central.
Who?
Kirk.
Oh, we don't talk about him.
Okay. We're not talking
No,
about him.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I thought you were trying to get a job from him. That's not going to be very good in your interview. If you talk to him, all of this doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is his internal geography. The only thing that matters is that the geography internally is consistent.
Well, but that does matter.
That's his thing. Yeah, that's his big thing. The problem is with that.
Well, first you have to establish the internal cohesiveness of the internal geography of the Book of Mormon before you can start superimposing it on a physical geographic location, right?
Right, but if you can't actually fit it onto a physical geographical location, then you're basically in Narnia land.
Ooh, them's be fighting words, but I'm digging it. So keep going.
You look at what CES is putting out. They have this map, right? The Book of Mormon geography map, and you can pull it up there. And it's basically it's used in seminaries and institutes all over the world. And what it's basically saying is that we can't actually place this in a real world location. So this is our best guess, is based on the internal the map, that it doesn't fit anywhere in the real world. So therefore, the Book of Mormon is actually Narnia. I mean, it's really like Jonathan Neville says, it's the fantasy map. This is what the Book of Mormon
Is this the one right here?
In Fantasyland.
Is this one right here that I'm looking at the map that you want me to pull up? Oh, okay, sorry. Is it this guy
it
right
kind of a
here?
little bit looks, yeah, that's that one. Yeah.
It's this one right
Yeah,
here.
it looks a little bit like that. And they're saying, so that's what they have all the students studying is this. This is the map of the Book of Mormon, which doesn't exist in the real world, but here it is from the internal consistency. But let me kind of give you just one quick example of how that doesn't work.
Well, yeah, first off, besides looking like the World of Warcraft map, like I'm not kidding you. Like it literally
it looks like I get invited over for like family home evening and we're playing this made up game.
Yeah, okay. It does literally look like the World of Warcraft map, but okay. Keep going.
Anyway, so when it comes down to that, what are we teaching our kids here? You know, that this is that we cannot place it in the real world. If we had a real world setting, then we'd have a real world map. And we can't. So therefore, you know, this is.
I do have to say, if I were handed this map right here and just said like, oh, okay, this is the map of the internal geography of the Book of Mormon. Yeah, that's literally like getting handed not this. This is the front cover. No, this is the front cover of The Hobbit. This is the front cover of J.R.R. Tolkien's. So, like, here's a map of Middle Earth, and you look at it, you're like, okay, that doesn't look like anything on our Earth.
Yeah.
Again, back to the conversation we had in the last episode that we were interviewing in was This is why it's important to see the relevance of the Phoenician ship, and why that voyage, its plausibility, which was proven that it can happen, and that it landed in Florida. That's why it's important. Because it ties all of these things as it is possible, it can happen, and it happened here in America.
That's a real
By the way,
setting.
I do have to put one plug in for this map as well for another great map out of American creative arts and cinema. It looks like the map from Skull Island in King Kong, surrounded by all those clouds. You see those mysterious clouds, you know?
Like it was made after that.
It's like there's Kong in there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And there's a giant T-Rex walking around trying to find Kong's parents, you know? Yeah, so, okay.
So back to this covenant thing. So bottom line is that when Abraham went with Isaac, and then we know what happened in that whole situation, right? And he was blessed with certain blessings. And those 4 blessings are really important to understand. First off, he was blessed with the land. He was blessed with posterity, that his seed would become like the sands of the sea, basically. He's also blessed with another special blessing, which is the blessing of prosperity, posterity, that they would have, that would be the seed and so forth. And then prosperity, that they would prosper on the land as long as they're righteous. And the last one, is number 4, is actually security, that as long as they're righteous, that God would literally fight their battles for them. And it's interesting because those prophecies are in there. There's 36 of these prophecies in the Book of Mormon about this promised land. The United States of America is the only one that actually meets that. I mean, what other nation can you say the New Jerusalem is in or going to be in?
Well,
what
and also
nation is a mighty Gentile nation above all the nations. It's kind of funny. I had somebody one time. I said, so what other nation in the Americas is as a nation you would consider to be, above all other nations, and in what way? And somebody said, well, Guatemala. And I said, well, how is Guatemala above all other nations in the Americas? He says, well, maybe in the number of drug lords per capita.
Brutal.
Okay, you got me. That was it. Okay.
Well, so I would say though, I mean,
who can argue that?
America is blessed with having military allies to the north and south, and oceans to the east and west,
and mountain ranges,
and also we've been preserved from war. There's been incredible wealth, especially post-war, and there's measurable quantifiers about the belief aspect of that. Okay, so I'm not quite ready to say that America's prosperity, like we got some kind of prosperity gospel thing going on, and it's because we're oh so righteous, because America has done plenty of things not as bad as other countries,
right?
But we have our blemishes. But I will say, amongst the people, amongst us, okay, the populi, I have noticed that all of this secularism, whether you want to call it wokeism, Nehorism, whatever you want to call it, I've seen a lot of anti-Mormons celebrating the fact that there's the rise of the nuns, those religiously unaffiliated, okay, the people that check that box of none when you ask them what their belief structure is and so on and so forth. And when you take social science, such as the Strauss and Howe fourth turning model, or, the Helaman chapter 5 pride cycle, and you superimpose it on American history, you will notice that as we have secularized, we have truly declined in all the measurable quantifiers that are fulfilled in this scripture. Yeah. Our economic prosperity has gone down. There's a bigger rise between the haves and the have-nots. The CEOs of our biggest corporate institutions and our capital institutions are making more of a multiple of what their lowest paid employees are. Okay. The rich never got richer than, and the poor never got poorer than under our most heavily secular president, Barack Obama, when I was entering the workforce, and so on and so forth. And, as we have forsaken the faith, for lack of a better term, and as we have chosen to choose wildly more secular approaches to everything from social issues like helping the poor, homelessness, marriage, family creation, whether or not, our approach to the sanctity of life, as all of these things have secularized, our prosperity has gone away. And it's a fulfillment of literal scripture, like when it says they will put their treasures in the earth and they will become slippery unto them, like they can't hold on to them. And so I joke that, we need to hashtag America flag behind you, and that, this guy looks like he's running for state senator and everything. But, there's some measurable quantifiers to back this model up. You got the last minute. Rod Meldrum, go.
Yeah. So very quickly. So one time I was doing some presentations up in British Columbia, Canada. As I was heading up there, I was going, you know what? My presentation is kind of USA centric. I mean, what are the Canadian people are going to think when I come up there? I'm going to kind of maybe just ease that off a little bit. And as I was going up there, the thought occurred to me, whose words is it anyway? This is not my words. This is the Lord's words, and I'm not going to apologize.
You're not just a missionary for the church. You're a missionary for America.
For America. But it's funny because I've been up there and I gave the same presentation I would have given anywhere else in the world. And the Canadian saints up there, they went, we get it. As America goes, so goes the world. If America doesn't have good leadership, and if they go down, the whole world's going to go down with them. And they said, so please, they pleaded with me to make sure that we do our best to get good leaders and so forth that will lead out, because the American military, we spend 8 times more money than the next 3 nations combined. I mean, if we go evil will prevail in the world, the bottom line.
Yeah, I definitely believe that.
So back to the last couple of quick things, and I've got this is so important, those 4 things, the land, posterity, prosperity, and security. What is the reason for those special blessings on America? Why is America different, or why is it special? Because it's been given a special calling, if you will, to which was given to Abraham, and that is that through his seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, even with the blessings of the gospel, which are the blessings of life eternal. The whole purpose of these blessings is for missionary work. If you take a look at where missionary work actually stems from, 80% of all missionaries throughout the world that bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ to everywhere else in the world, 80% of them come from what nation? The United States of America.
Yeah.
And of the 20% that are serving from other nations, probably about half of them receive financial assistance by what nation? The saints in the United States of America. If it wasn't for America having these blessings and having the prosperity to be able to do this, the missionary work of the church would literally stop.
And it's not about prosperity gospel. It's just about the blessings that are bestowed upon the people if they're living
Says
righteously.
King Noah. You know what I'm saying?
This will make a lot of people happy that you're saying this.
But the last of this is when a nation has gone rogue, when a nation has been so blessed as America has been with the blessings of prosperity and security and everything else, when they turn their back on God, there is a price that's going to be paid, and it's the judgments of God begin to come upon them. And what's interesting though about this card is it always happens in reverse order. So the first thing that God removes is the blessing of the covenant of security. He removes the iron dome, the shield of protection that is over this promised land.
I see what you did there. Okay? The Iron Dome, that shield of protection. Wow. You're not just a missionary for Americanism or the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. You're straight up pushing Israel here, man, dude. All right.
All right. And then then the next thing that would happen is that God would take away the covenant of prosperity. So usually, like you said, God will take their riches away. Their riches become slippery and they can't hold on to the riches anymore. And if that doesn't humble them and return them back to God, then he has to go to stage 3, I like to call it, which is the removal of their posterity, which usually means war and people are going to start dying.
DEFCON 3.
Yeah, because when you start losing your kids in war, it gets your attention, and hopefully you turn your back, you turn back towards God. But if all 3 of those things don't humble the people of that nation sufficiently that they'll return back to God, then he has no other option but to sweep them off the land. And that's happened 3 times now. Have Adam's and his posterity were swept off of this land. Mm-hmm. The Jaredites and their posterity were swept off of this land. The Nephites and their posterity, once they became unrighteous, and the interesting thing about this is that no other nation is strong enough in any of these instances to wipe out the people who were on the land at that point in time. They literally turned on each other and they killed each other from within. And if that's happened 3 times, is it possible that might be the case also the next time right before Christ comes on this promised land?
All right. Cool. Rock on, man. So you're a 2035 guy.
Sometime we have to talk about the connection with 9/11 and the 2008 stock market crash and the 2015 same-sex marriage through all 50 states by the Supreme Court. These are all 7-year intervals, and each of them have to do with each one of those 4 parts of the covenant, as God has revoked his covenant with America. So it's not about rah-rah USA. It's literally about there is a special covenant that God made, and that covenant was made on the day of his inauguration with George Washington, when he was literally taking his
this gets better and better
hand to the square. He had his left hand on the Bible right there in Genesis, where it talks about Joseph will become a fruitful bough, you're a fruitful bough by a well whose branches run over the wall. As he's taking the covenant, he places America under covenant with God. And the place of that happening was actually in New York, in this little at the St. Paul Cathedral there. Okay. And the place of the invocation of the covenant then became the place of the sign of God's revoking of the covenant when the Twin Towers were taken down, because the Twin Towers were built on the property owned by the church, the St. Paul Cathedral, at the time of his inauguration. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
And that cathedral is still standing.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have been. It was a
shouldn't
miracle.
have been. It should have gone down when the Twin Towers came down.
Yeah, it should have been.
Really?
They're literally sitting literally at the base of the North Tower is the St. Paul Cathedral. And so there's the evidence for that. In 2008, when the stock market crash happened, we came out.
Well, you also want to be very careful how you say that, though, because like I lived in New York City, and to say that was some kind of judgment of God could be easily misinterpreted. As much as I think what you're trying to say is that the wicked will punish the wicked, but then that would be putting the people. No, I don't know. I don't know how we would couch that other than saying
we're just literally saying it's a fulfillment of prophecy. If this is the place where the covenant was made, then if the covenant is being revoked, it would be possibly the place where you would see. Well, and you can't overlook.
I think what you're trying to say is also you can't overlook the symbolism of the bookends.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
exactly.
And people will always. I mean, the way that we behave and how we believe and how we exercise our faith, that will directly dictate who we have as our leaders, not only in the government but also as a whole, as a church body.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, in 2008, if you pull up the prosperity of America. So if you want to measure America's prosperity, how do you do it?
Oh, there's measurable quantifiers here. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just dive right in.
You just take a look at.
I like data. Let's do this.
Look at the national debt, for example.
Okay, national debt.
And as you take a look and you pull up the graphs on that, usually what you will see is up until 2008. Which 2008 was 7 years, which is, by the way, a Shemitah cycle in the Hebrew calendar system.
Oh, really? I don't even know what that means, but it sounds super cool.
So you got to be, this is so cool.
Yeah, all right.
It all ties in. But it's a 7-year cycle that the Lord set up for the Hebrews. Every 7 years, if I owe you money or you owe me money, basically it all gets erased. They don't plant or harvest that year so that the earth can have its Sabbath and its rest as well. But from 2001, when 9/11 happened, until 2008 was 7 years, almost to the day, and you have the biggest stock market crash in U.S. history, where the Dow Jones Industrial Average actually dropped by 777 points. The number 7 is the number for judgment in the Hebrew lexicon. So that's judgment, judgment, judgment. And if you take a look at the debt of the United States, you'll see that usually in most of these graphs, you'll see right at 2008 is where we were going along, kind of getting a little bit more in debt, and all of a sudden 2008 is when it goes vertical.
Yeah, there's a spike definitely between 2008 and 2009, and there's a big fat spike between 2020 and 2021.
Yeah. So the prosperity of America literally began to seriously decline at the same time as the sign happened and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It doesn't mean that that's when the judgment actually comes. It means that that's a sign that it's coming, it's impending. And then in 2015. So that if you take those 4 blessings of the covenant, which by the way, are so interesting because this is also embedded, guess where? In the preamble of the Constitution of the United States. It says, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, and restore domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, provide for the general welfare, and promote the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So if you break that down, all 4 parts of the covenant are right in there, embedded in the first part, which is kind of the abstract of the Constitution, right? It's all the Abrahamic covenant right there in the Constitution.
And is it a possibility that it was just the founders that put that together, or were they inspired?
No, that's true.
What other nation has had that?
Yeah, you bring up a really good point, and also I just can't help but think that I now know exactly what Thomas Jefferson would have looked like if he had a mustache. You know, and there's
old white guys, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so all joking aside, Rod Meldrum, being Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily can connect all of these dots, like the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" guy with his yarn all over the wall about, like 9/11 and the Dow Jones Industrial Complex. And I'm not saying you're wrong or that's a conspiracy theory. I'm saying I'm not quite ready to put on my Captain America boxers and start quoting Tim Ballard books while singing the Star-Spangled Banner in the middle of, Hollywood and Vine. But I will say that you cannot overlook the unique formation of the United States of America. Yeah. You cannot overlook God's hand in some of the miraculous happenings of the founding of this country. Absolutely. And then not read those scriptures and say, we need to take our righteousness seriously, because it's tied to something more than just some kind of arbitrary salvation after we die.
Well, here's another layer to all of this.
Oh, wow, this gets deeper.
Okay, so from my perspective, I grew up in Los Angeles, went to LAUSD school district and did that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
So what is the easiest way to get a nation to just forget about these promises? And I mean, I remember growing up in...
what did Sun Tzu say? Teach the youth to be degenerate and stop forming families, and then you'll be able to conquer their lands. It's like some 2,000-year-old phrase.
And the same thing with communism, right? It's the exact same thing. So I still remember being in elementary school at Utah Street School in East LA. Right, I could see the city hall tower.
It was called Utah Street School.
Utah Street School.
Oh wow,
yeah, it's crazy, right?
All right,
it was right off of Mission and First. I could see the city hall building from my school.
Okay,
and lining up outside and still having the Pledge of Allegiance before we started school.
Yeah.
By the end of high school, all of that was done. Not a single school did that any longer.
Yeah, dude, that's just weird, man.
And so if you want to take down a nation, you instill into them at a young age that it's shameful to be patriotic in any way.
Yeah.
And same thing for me, like as a Mexican American, like I wasn't American enough to be American or Mexican enough to be Mexican.
So, that's a frustration that's shared by many people that are second and third generation in this country.
And so
well, hold on.
It's like, which is it? Which is it? And so when I learned about this from a dear friend of mine, Russ Barlow, and then Rod Meldrum, I was like I was that guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, putting all the dots together, like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. This makes sense.
So what we need to do is have the Heartlander Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the books of Tim Ballard. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding with you.
No.
I can keep going.
For the record, all glory to God.
Yes.
All glory to God.
All glory to God.
Yes, exactly.
That's funny, man. That's funny. All right. So anything else to say on the hashtag American Covenant?
Well, we've actually been hammered. In fact, people say this is a jingoistic thing. All you're doing is just playing on people's patriotic, emotions and so forth, and I'm going, no, I'm quoting God here. Basically, this is scriptures talking about the New Jerusalem. I mean, everything that we've talked about so far here is not just, it's not speculation, it's revelation, right? So you got the this stuff going. There's King Noah right there, man.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, before we go, I just got one last favor that I need to ask. I need to ask from our boy Brill here. You know what I'm saying? Brill, can you just lean back in your chair and clutch your pearls? But you have to lean back the other way. Lean back the other way. Yeah, like that with your right hand. And boom, shock. No, you have to hold it like that. Yeah. That's your King Noah pose, bro. That's your King Noah pose. We just got to get you the big the plumed hat,
I should show you the pictures.
You know what's so funny? Of jaguars in there. There's no jaguars mentioned in the Book of Mormon.
And that's all
they're
stone.
Imported cheetahs.
And that's all stone, and it was made out of wood. Fine
they're
wood.
Imported cheetahs.
Yeah, there we go. That's what they are.
Okay. All right. So this has been awesome. I just feel like I need to go out on the street corner and sing America the Beautiful while throwing a football and
just
pizza.
Wait, that's Italian.
Or grilling
a burger.
Actually, pizza is uniquely American and invented here based off of.
It's like the burrito. The burrito is American. It's not Mexican.
No, the reality of it is that America.
Actually, no, you're right. That comes from the mines near Ensenada.
No.
Yes, you're right.
Burrito is
the
American.
burrito is Tex-Mex. That's
are you guys about done with the whole the cuisine conversation?
Hey, we're just getting hungry, bro. We're
both from LA, so we just gotta kind of bounce off of each other.
Little tacos.
All right. So anything you want to get out of your system before we go? Because we blew past our 22 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, we're sorry about that.
So no, it's all right, man. So anyway, let us know what you guys think of this conversation below. Do you guys think this was a bunch of just holy hogwash, or do you think this was just a bunch of patriotic puritanism? Let us know in the conversations below. Let's keep the convo going. And as always, for this and more, please check us out at WardRadio.com.
I ain't trying to bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now.